What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Today, I'm going to share with you some mistakes that I made this year which ruined my harvest. So hopefully in the future, the same thing doesn't happen to you. Let's go! Although this year was relatively productive, we grabbed loads of tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, apples, cherries, and a lot more. It was way worse than it could have been. It's like sometimes we know what's right and what to do, but for some reason we just don't always follow through with it. A silly mistake I made this year has to do with potted plants, and it's a common mistake I think a lot of people make. And as a result of my mistake, you could see my tomato, it did poorly, and I wasn't super happy with the overall harvest that I got from it. And I love growing tomatoes in containers. I've grown some amazing tomatoes in containers, like got massive production from them. And for certain instances, I actually think growing tomatoes in containers is better. For example, if you have a tomato like an heirloom variety that has high susceptibility to a soil-borne disease, something like verticillium or fusarium, then if you grow it in a pot and make your own soil, then that soil won't have the soil-borne disease in it, so you can kind of avoid it. So when you grow in pots, there are some great advantages, but when you do what I did and just like, it's a user error and you directly negatively affect your plant, then I mean, soil-borne diseases don't even matter in that case. My major mistakes come down to two things, and they are the most basic things: water and light. So what happened with this tomato was, as it started to get larger and larger, and the root system got larger too, I just didn't keep up enough on giving this thing water because I just didn't take into account of how quickly that it would transpire. It would soak up that water, push it out through the leaves on a super hot day. I wasn't here every day in the garden like I usually am because I was at my other homestead, so I wasn't able to come out every single day and take a look at it. As a result, I allowed this tomato in like the heat of July to just really dry out. The soil got so dry, it was like bone dry, to the point where the plant was almost dying, and it started to actually drop off some of the flowers, which is not a good sign. Then, to make matters even worse, so first I was underwatering, not watering enough, stressing the plant out extremely. To make matters worse, I came back the next day, I saw it was happening, I overwatered, I gave it a really heavy watering, and then I put a tray at the bottom so it could kind of sit in that water. But then I didn't look at the weather, and the next 3 days it rained. So this thing was essentially sitting in water for like 3 days. So it went from completely bone dry and no water to sitting in a waterlogged area for like 3 days. After that, with no oxygen, I think a little bit of root rot formed, and the plant just kind of never came back after that. It's just trying to slowly hold on and ripen some of these tomatoes, but I'll probably just grab them and end up just ripening them inside. Then the additional mistake I made was, I think that I put this pot out in the sun for just a little too long when it was super hot out. The pot heated up too much and it might have potentially burned the roots. I thought that using the white pot, it would help it enough and it would reflect it. So I'm not 100% positive that the roots heated up too much, but I do have a good feeling they did. So basically when it came down to it, I knew what was right. I know what happens. I know what I needed to do. I just didn't do it. And sometimes that's what happens with mistakes. We can know everything of what we're supposed to do, but then we just don't play it out in reality. So it's a little bit frustrating. Ultimately, it's okay though. I did better on some of my other potted plants, like back here, some of my peppers. I made sure to adjust and keep an eye on them and made sure I gave them what they need when they needed it. But you can see this thing needs a little bit more nutrition. It needs some fertilizer. We're getting a little bit of yellowing. Overall, the plant looks happy, healthy. We're getting some good fruit from it because I made sure that I did the simple things right on this one: water and light. Last year, I said I would never do this again, yet here we are. Check out this bed right here. We've got a nice, healthy growing pepper that's in production, and there's still more peppers that are looking really nice. But then we're in a raised bed. So you're thinking that's great, but when it comes down to it, it's September. Like this is a summer crop. The rest of my summer crops are finishing, and now I just kind of have a pepper in here that's in the way. Realistically, what I want to do is I want to get this bed ready and prepped and get some cold hardy veggies in here so they could feed me into the winter. But now what I have to do is work around this stupid pepper. I'd like to just take everything out, rehydrate the soil if it's needed, amend it, add some fertilizer, then go and plant all my cold hardy veggies. Instead, I'm gonna have to work around this thing, amend the soil, not get too close to the roots, and then try to get the soil level back to where it was. Realistically, I just made so much more work for myself than I needed to. I created something that was a hassle. I told myself, I'm not planting eggplants and peppers in raised beds anymore, because by the time they hit production, that's like exactly when I need to transition my garden to fall. So I'm left working around these things. I can't believe I did it again, but I guess I got just excited in the spring. Wasn't thinking, threw some peppers in here because I had extra plants. So it's nice I'm getting this harvest, but realistically, it's so much better and so much easier to just grow peppers in containers like I just showed you, because then not only will they be like in production and out of your bed, so you don't have to worry about them when it comes to fall and winter, but also you can overwinter your peppers inside, bring them back out and regrow the same pepper. So when it comes down to it, this is a silly mistake. I knew what was right, I didn't do it, and here we are again. Another avoidable mistake I made this year, which ruined a lot of my harvest, is actually right here. So when it comes to plants like green beans and also cucumbers, the more you pick, the more you get. So when you stay on top of picking that fruit, then new flowers will form because the plant wants to actually make seed, so it'll keep producing, keep producing. But if you do what I did, and you let some of these green beans stay on the plant too long, not only do they not taste as good because they're getting harder and it ruins the texture, you've got big seeds in it, so they not only taste as good, but you also lose out on that second harvest. It's such a simple thing to do. So just come out, grab the green beans when they're small. Come in close. This is more of the size I should have been grabbing the green beans at, right here. You stay on top of picking these when they're young, you go early and often and grab them, then your harvest is just going to keep coming because you'll keep tricking, you can see a flower, these flowers to keep showing up. So I'll tell you what, we got the growing part right. This plant looks super happy, really healthy, good production, but we lost that second harvest. So when it comes down to it, with the harvest, we just ended up dropping the ball. Look how shady this location is right here. It's late in the day, so it's actually not even as shady as it is earlier in the day. We're still getting a little bit of filtered sun here because it's late afternoon, but the problem is this bed, it gets so much dang shade because of the culprit right behind me, this hazelnut tree. So originally, the idea with this garden was that I would put in a bunch of perennials. We'll start out with fruit trees, get all those fruit trees planted, then add some perennials around some of the fruit trees, some strawberries into some of the apples, some blueberries between some of the apples, and then as that stuff's starting to grow, because the reality is the perennials, most of them take about 3 to 4 years to produce. So I was thinking, let me get some production while I'm waiting for those to produce. So I added in a bunch of raised beds to make sure I can get some annual production while I'm waiting for the perennials to produce. I got this idea from Bill Mollison actually. He tells a story about a guy he knew, and he said the guy bought 10 acres or something like that and then planted the whole thing with fruit trees. Next, what he did was he grew lettuce for 3 years. He grew lettuce for 3 years to make a profit to help pay for, to maintain that property while the fruit trees were heading into production. Then on that 4th year, the fruit tree started to produce and he never had to grow lettuce again. So he was able to basically maintain himself while the fruit trees were getting ready to produce. That's what I wanted to do, but I wanted to take it to the next level and have the annuals integrated with the perennials to create that true food forest that have multiple layers. My problem was in some locations like this one, I just let this hazelnut tree get way too out of control. I should have pruned this thing back considerably, and that's what I'm gonna do next year. Because the sad truth is, this hazelnut, it had a lot of nuts on it, but then the chipmunks and the squirrels came and they ate everything. So I got no harvest of nuts. And then if you look down here, this raised bed, which is usually incredibly productive, I got very little production out of it because it just got so dang shaded. Over here, this area got a little more light, so the sorrel did relatively good, and this plant can do well in some filtered shade and some other shade, but you can see the way these beets and stuff are growing. Look how like tall and thin the leaves are. They're just not getting enough light. So I basically sacrificed a nice annual harvest for just a big tree that's pretty much shading things out. I'm gonna have to go by, prune this up, open up more windows of light to make sure we get that consistent annual production while also getting the perennials while we can. Here's a mistake I made that I still got to harvest from, and I'm still harvesting from it, but it's not exactly how I planned it and it's not how I intended it to go. So in this bed right here, in the winter I prepped it, I got it ready. In the spring I fertilized it, I planted everything out. Things were growing beautifully and everything was shaping up nice. Then I had the cover on it to keep the insects out, and then I said, actually let me throw some of my tomatoes that are still in pots inside of here to keep them protected from any bugs. Well, a day went by, 2 days went by, 3 days went by, a week went by, and I kind of just forgot about those tomatoes. What happened was the tomatoes ended up rooting into the ground, and it came to the point where I didn't even want to pull them out. And at first it was nice, but then if you look in here a little bit more, the tomatoes were growing so thick I missed some harvests, like this cabbage. I feel bad I couldn't get it. Some of the other things, all of my other annuals just got completely suffocated by the tomatoes. All in all, it's okay because I'm still grabbing a bunch of tomatoes from here. You can see a lot of Mountain Magic just finding its way through, growing up the trellis. And then there's also some super sweet 100s in here, but it's kind of hard to move through, grab harvest from it. And when you grow tomatoes like this, there's just a higher chance of diseases. And as you look in here, I mean, what an absolute mess. It looks terrible. But all in all, we're still getting a harvest. You can see this, come in here. This is all rooted into the ground. This is what happened. It grew right through the pot into the ground. So it's not the worst mistake ever, but it looks terrible. It's hard to grab fruit from it. I have so many tomatoes other places, and it's not the end of the world, but it's okay. Ultimately, a lot of these mistakes, there could just be lessons if we look at them the right way. And they're not common mistakes people make, but there's little things sometimes that you just, again, you know you should be doing, but you don't do it. So some of this video might just be for me reminding myself to not let those little things become bigger problems, because it happens quickly and it can rob you of a good harvest simply by just not staying on top of things. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. It's a slow time of year. Everything feels slow. With people transitioning back to school, a lot of other things happening, the transition almost into fall, the garden just starting to slowly just get less and less happy. It's one of those times where, I think it's good to just take a break for a minute, take a step back, and start to think about how we can improve things for next year. So a garden's good the first year, but the cool thing about a garden is that every year you can refine it. Every year it gets better. Every year the work becomes less because you learn to have nature work for you and you're not out there slaving all the time. You get the perennials in, like the apple tree right there. Look at that. That's looking gorgeous. I barely did anything for that tree this year, yet it's still giving me food. So some of these little investments truly add up, and I kind of just mentioned it before, but those little ripples, they make big waves. So that could either work for you or against you. You can make a mistake that could compound and then you end up, having to do so much more work for it, or you can make the right choice. That compounds and it just produces so much fruit for you. When it comes down to it, we got to stay on top of our gardens, but there is a time where we can take a step back, have a little bit of introspection, and just try to see how we can make little tweaks that make big differences in the future. I hope you guys got some value from this video. I do enjoy making these kinds of videos where I could just speak a little bit more, where I'm not just showing things, because we're in the time of year where there's not a lot of to do. It's more of like planning. Yeah, we got to get our cold hardy veggies in, but things are on the way down, not on the way up. So it's a good time to just have a little appreciation, take a look at things and just be thankful while also being hopeful and also a little, excited about the future. I wanted to send a thank you to one of our new channel members, Terry Taylor. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow. Thanks for having your hand in everything we're doing out here. I also want to mention that you guys honestly, you should check out the community. You don't have to join it if you don't want to, but you should go check it out. It's absolutely free, and there's a lot of other gardeners that are just like you who are on there that are sharing what they're doing, and then you could communicate with other gardeners too. It's not like it's on a Facebook or Instagram or one of these, social media sites. It's just our own little community where everyone's there to try to grow a better future together. So we'd love for you to come in, say what's up, show us your garden, and we'll share some love with you. Plus, we're always doing giveaways, so all you got to do is get active and you might have your chance of winning some really cool garden equipment. All in all, it's been a great year. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's not over yet, but it does feel like the time when things are just slowing down a little bit. So we're grateful for you guys' continued support. We're thankful for you, and we're also you know, hoping that you guys hit that subscribe button, because next year, like, this is slowing down, but we're setting up for next year. It's getting crazy. The fence is going in. The next Monday, it's gonna take a whole week to put the fence in. That's how big it is. We're taking things to the next level. We're not stopping. We're expanding what we're doing. We're bringing you along for it, because ultimately, I mean, we gotta grow that better future. And the only way to do it is to take action. We'll catch you guys on the next one real soon. We out.